As artists, we want to be creative. We want to get ideas. We want to rule over the world with iron, logic and pizza. Okay, the last one may be just me. But we are not always capable of this. There are days when you get so many ideas that you cannot physically do them in one day, a week, a month, and in some cases even a year. And of course, there are days when you look at a blank piece of paper or a computer screen and wonder, God, am I really that basic and stupid? For starters, no. No, you are not, and don't think like that. Unfortunately, you will still feel that way. Cambridge Dictionary defines creativity as the ability to produce original and unusual ideas, or to make something new or imaginative. And it defines originality as the quality of being special and interesting, and not the same as anything or anyone else. With that, let me introduce you to a course, How to Get Ideas, by Kevin Carden. I probably butchered your name, I'm so sorry, Kevin. Kevin is one of the most creative and original digital artists I have seen in a long time. Most digital artists now, when they see something that gains traction, just replicate it, often with a very shitty outcome. Not Kevin. To be honest, I haven't seen any sign of trend following in his work. Not gonna lie, some of his works have a rather low technical quality to them, but they are very few and far between. Most are excellent when it comes to technique and original when it comes to the scene itself. For that originality, I picked up his course, where he presents 5 of techniques he states that he uses to come up with his ideas. Each technique has its own movie, so it's really easy to navigate the course. Just pick a technique, click, and learn. Technique 1. Spiderweb brainstorming. The first technique presented by Kevin he calls Spiderweb brainstorming. The movie lasts 35 minutes and 45 seconds. He uses self-portrait as an example to illustrate how to use this technique to get your creative juices flowing. I like that he goes a little more in depth in the brainstorm and gives a fair amount of examples to show off his thought process. The drawback is that he gives a little too much of them. It stretches the length of the film and makes it a bit boring after a few minutes. A better way, in my opinion, would be to give less examples of specific categories and speed the process a bit. Instead of giving 5 examples of all 5 categories, maybe give 2 or 3 in each of them. After creating the chart, Kevin shows you how you can use it to create a sketch of the photo you might want to create. I think this is the best thing about this tutorial. Most just give you some examples, a little bit of theory, and tell you to go to do stuff. Not Kevin. He shows you the whole process of planning a photo without digressions. More people should learn to stick with the main subjects when creating tutorials and courses. To be fair, the name Spiderweb brainstorming sounds cool, but is nothing more than using a mind map. Tony Buzan wrote the best, in my opinion, books on mind mapping, so if you want to get in depth with the subject, you can pick them up. Still, the movie as a whole is done very well, can be a very approachable way to introduce someone to mind mapping as a whole. It is a little too long in my opinion, but gives great examples and shows off a good mindset to have while using this technique. Technique 2. Opposites attract. This technique is pretty straightforward. You pick a motif, like power, and just think of antonyms for it. In this case, some antonyms for power could be lack, disability, or weakness. The movie's duration is 33 minutes and 19 seconds. The core of this technique is finding a way to present those 2 different motifs in one photo. Once again, Kevin gives some examples to show you the right mindset to have during this part of the technique. Despite a different name and attitude for this technique, the second part is, as with the previous one, just mind mapping words that you correlate with the chosen motifs. The main difference is the amount of motifs you are working with. In the last technique you concentrated on using just one. This time you have to juggle two. I'm not saying there is something wrong with that. Quite the opposite. Repetition is the key to mastering anything in life. In this case, you not only gain more XP with mind mapping, you learn a different approach to them by using the opposites. Technique 3. Weird relationships. A technique very similar to the previous one. The only difference is that this time, instead of using opposites, you use totally different words and think of the ways to combine them. This movie lasts for 36 minutes and 21 seconds. During this time, Kevin, as with other techniques, gives some examples that he created. The last 11 minutes and 17 seconds are live examples of Kevin working with words furniture and pen and consecrate and blossom. Not gonna lie, I find it a bit redundant to have two movies about basically the same thing. I would fix it by combining opposites attract technique with this one in just one movie. Just give two examples of each and you're good. I find the form it has now a bit of a waste of time, even considering that repetition is good. At least a combination of words toilet and keyboard was funny. Technique 4. Random shapes. Kevin starts this 30-minute and 46 seconds movie stating this technique is not for everyone. It is more for people who like to paint and use digital art. It's not very well suited for people who are just photographers who don't play in Photoshop much. This technique is basically a Rorschach test on acid. To show how it works, Kevin picks an image from Unsplash.com that has a lot of vibrant colors, downloads it and opens it in Photoshop. After making sure the image fills the entire canvas, he uses median to blur everything to the point you can only see color blobs. And now the fun begins. Using his imagination and the color shapes, Kevin creates a scene. Just like in a Rorschach test, one image can give different results depending on the person looking at it. Unlike the previous movies, this one only has two examples. In the second one, apart from blurring the image, Kevin duplicates and flips it to create a simple bash of the two versions before creating a scene. Technique 5. Replacement concepts. Kevin states this technique is his favorite, and to be honest, out of all the techniques presented in this course, I like this one the most. The movie itself is 31 minutes and 20 seconds long. The core of the technique is finding an image you like, no matter if it is your old work or someone else's, and think about the ways you can change it. Replace a person, background, items, etc. You make your own creation out of existing image or images. As a fan of the KISS rule, if you are not familiar with the KISS, K-I-S-S rule, it stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. I like this technique very much. It is simple enough you don't need a special mindset to use it. You just use your mind in the way you always do and think about your own approach to the scene presented to you. Now that we reach the end of the course, I should answer the basic question. Is it worth buying it? The short answer is yes. The only real negative of the whole course to me is the fact that techniques 2 and 3 are practically the same thing with only a minor tweak. Smaller even than between 1 and 2, but that's it. The price of $10 is more than fair for what you're getting. I have books on the subject that cost more and give you less. Don't ask, I still regret getting them. Don't get me wrong, the course is far from perfect. But for the price, it's more than awesome. A bit too long when it comes to techniques 1, 2 and 3, but it's not terrible in this department. After all, repetition is the key to mastery. As always, the links are in the description. Good night, good luck, and don't you dare go hollow.